Hey there, it's Jody Sutter of the Sutter Company, and it's Just Ask Jody. It's that time when I take a question from an agency around an issue that they're having with business development, and I'll answer that question in 4 minutes or less, give or take a minute. So today the question pertains to case studies, writing case studies. And the question is, how do we do a better job at describing the tactics and the execution of campaigns in our case studies? And this question came out of a workshop that I taught recently in Toronto at the Institute of Communications Agencies, but it's an issue that I see fairly frequently. So let's just maybe start by sort of painting a theoretical scene. I'm going to draw you into this. So let's say that you are at the point now where you are ready to write a case study about a campaign that was successful, or to describe an engagement that went well. And let's say that you do a great job of setting things up in the first part. And the first part is typically describing the client's business situation, the challenges that they were facing, and that trigger point at which they were compelled to call you to provide a solution. So you set the context beautifully, and that's why that part is so important. It's really crucial that that first part is rich. It sets the reader up for wanting to know more. So you move on to the second part. Let's say you nail that one too. And that second part is where you start to talk about how you got smart on the issues, how you did research, how you applied your own knowledge and experience and intellect into solving that problem. That led to a strong insight, which then of course leads to a big idea, and the client loves it and you're ready to go. And then you move into describing how you actually executed it. Now this should be easy because you're describing your work, and your work was really good, or else you wouldn't be writing a case study about it. But what I commonly see is when agencies get to writing and describing the execution, is I see them relying more on a list of executions, or a bulleted list of the stuff that they did. We did this and this and this and this and this. And most agencies realize that it's falling a little flat. So maybe then they embellish it with some superlatives, or even worse, a little bit of jargon. Well, you want to continually tie things back, the solutions back to the business issues. So for instance, if you're a web design company and you're talking about a new site that was just launched, and you're describing a contemporary visual design, that doesn't really tell your reader much of anything unless you can tie the reason for a contemporary visual design back to the client's issues. Why was a contemporary visual design the right thing to do for this situation? One of the reasons why I think that this, the execution part of a case study can be so challenging for agencies is that you guys tend to take for granted what you are explaining. You tend to take for granted the work that you did is special because you feel like, well, that's what I do every day. That's my job. It's really about going back to the idea of context and narrative. Here's another tip to help you relate the executional tactics back to the context of the case study and to weave it back into the narrative. And that is to take a step back to a position of objectivity. Now that objectivity can sometimes be difficult to come by because it's your work, it's your agency, it's your team. So that's where someone like me can be really useful, and you don't want to mess around with your case studies. They're one of the most important tools that you have to convince a new client that you are equipped to be successful for them. So if you feel like your case studies aren't performing, if you're having trouble describing your executional tactics, or with any other part of a case study, then I'd invite you to email me and we'll have a quick call to see if I can help. That's it for this time. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on another Just Ask Jody, you can email me at jody@thesuttercompany.com. See you next time.